Who all we have on the call?
Yeah, we have around uh, other students like Reshmi, Arun, Khan. Is it Amit?
This is Amit.
Yeah. So they are the students, some from US and other from UK. Right.
I see.
Yeah, coming to the sales and distribution session, like which I would be uh, starting as an introductory session today, where I would be studying about how the interfaces are planned, like your customization, your SPRO, and your GUI, and how these components are integrated to each other, and where and how the SD consultant has to be very much vigilant in the integration process. So coming to sales and distribution, if you are aware of, it's part of ECC component, that is called ERP core component, and ECC 6.0 is the version which right now it's going on, and enhancement pack 5, uh, 5.5, 5.7 is going on in the latest installation of SAP. And so do remember that as an SD consultant, that means sales and distribution consultant, you should be aware that your you will have 4 stages: pre-sales, sales, shipping, billing, and try to have an integrated picture when we are talking about sales and distribution. So SD integrates with SD integrates with FI, SD integrates with PP. Why? Because somebody orders a product in a pre-sales process. Uh, can you please mute yourself, all of you from your end, because there is some noise in between. Thanks. So whenever you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and you can definitely raise your hand. Okay. So coming to the sales and distribution part, uh, you have to understand that it is part of one of the NetWeaver architecture, because NetWeaver is between the within the ERP itself. That's called we have presentation, application, and database in the ECC's core component, the architecture. But NetWeaver is an integration platform. It's an open integration platform of SAP, we can say, where we have a composite application framework, NetWeaver. Once the NetWeaver has been added in 2005, 2004, rigorously from ECC 5.0 onwards, SAP SD or SAP CRM or other new modules have really evolved, but sales and distribution FI, that ECC component, has become uh, more accessible to integration products. That means some telephony products. That means certain customer service related activities. If you can see here, so a lot of integration related aspects, like which you're talking about business communication. So, and integrating this has become rather easier than the earlier, because SAP NetWeaver into SAP ECC brings some integration aspects, like something like people integration, information integration, you have portal integration, lot of things like which today, like what Oracle and everything are talking, SAP has started that in way back in 2000, about the SOA and about service oriented architecture. So where easily you can buy a component, you can make it work with SAP. So any third party component, they're getting certified by SAP today, because it is the most available ERP in most of the public limited companies, in the global those companies who have global markets, they are preferring SAP as an ERP. So for all these things, if suppose let us assume that I'm operating from UK, and my US counterpart is using Oracle, and my Indian counterpart is using PeopleSoft. So, but still I have to work with each other. So SAP becomes one of the best ERP in that format. If you have, you still use your ERPs, but yes, sales happens from India, and the production happens somewhere in Thailand, but still the production house there, the sales houses here in India, both can be integrated with this system, installing it in one location. You choose it Thailand as the core implementation country, or India. It's your wish. But based on that, I can design my plants. I can design my warehouses. I can design. So as an SD consultant, your job is to more understand the gap analysis. That means how a business is driven into SAP, and how the customization happens, how the logistics process work. So SAP has provided a lot of T codes. So if you can see this, SAP project reference object, it's called SPRO. So we would be rigorously going into the screens where we have this implementation guide. You can see this enterprise structure. So designing this enterprise structure, as far as SD consultant is concerned, he is going to work from this level, sales and distribution. But he has to have an understanding how this SD is integrated to financial accounting. For example, I'll show you a small assignment here. When it goes to SD, you can see this: assign division to sales organization, assign sales organization to company code. So this is one part where the accounting integration is happening with sales organization. That means why I'm using this word called integration frequently is SD cannot stand in the air. Let me go into my task document. And this is a very good integrator to CRM, BI, business intelligence, APO. We call it SCM these days. I'm talking about external boxes. BI is a separate box, CRM is a separate box. But SD, MM, FI, PP, PM, PS, PM is plant maintenance, PS is project systems. These all modules are collectively stored in one single box. So when you talk about the
question, Ravi.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So when you say BI, right, is a separate box. When you said just BI is a separate box, if there is no out-of-the-box integration between these modules and a BI module.
Yes, there is an out-of-box integration using ALE, application linking and enabling.
Oh, there is. Okay.
There is. See, when I'm saying, within the box you don't need ALE. If you have out-of-the-box integration, you have to use ALE.
Okay.
Suppose here I have this SD module, MM, PP, but all three modules are staying in the same box. So ECC implementation, when I install this, take the license of ECC, nobody will give me a license called SD, license called MM. This box with all these modules, suppose this is the box I'm talking about. You can see this accounting, HR, and in logistics, SD, LE, MM, PP, PM, CS, QM. These all are modules which are collectively in one box called ECC. That's called ERP Core Component. So when you talk about other box, I have other box called CRM right now available with me.
When you say box, you mean instance, right?
Oh no, instance is again development instance, quality instance, production instance. I'm talking about a separate license, a separate setup altogether. So if you talk about instance, we call it as development instance, development. I'm talking about a system, separate system by itself.
licenses, different licenses.
Absolutely. Different user license. The user license, if I get it for the ECC, you can see this is the CRM license. You can see this CRM, and this only covers the CRM related aspects. It doesn't cover anything in the SD aspect, or if you want SD aspect, again there is something called middleware here. Through middleware you have to integrate. That's how it is. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So coming to the SD part I'm talking about, this is the first screen you have to understand. This is an ECC's document flow. You can see this: sales and distribution, inquiry, quotation, contract, scheduling agreement. He says that there is certain logic in the business. If I sign a contract, I have to refer it to an order. But if I sign an agreement, I don't require an order because agreement itself stands as an order. So directly I can go for a delivery process. But if I sign a contract, order is a must. Directly on a contract basis I cannot deliver, because contract will not have a fixed pricing kind of thing. It will be floating price. But agreement is very much fixed, with all the delivery times, with all the cost aspects, tax aspects, everything is very much clarified in the agreement. So now as we go into the classes, as we go into the sales and distribution, you may be creating a contract in the classroom, but you may be creating an agreement in the classroom, but differentiating both of them is very much conceptual. So students assume that, yeah, I created 10 contracts, I created agreements, so what? You don't know the logic of the agreement and logic of the contract, but still what you're doing is simply going into the screens. I'll tell you, most of the people, guys, like last week I've interviewed around 35 plus SD consultants. So when I go to them, they simply tell me about this VA41. I'm not asking about VA41, but you have to tell me what is the major difference between the scheduling agreement and contract, how it affects the client's business. So it is a combination of your business knowledge and SAP knowledge together has to be portrayed there. But 95% or 99% of the students, when they talk about SAP, they forget about the business. When they talk about business, they forget about SAP. So that really affects. So this contract, we also have it in CRM. There we call it as a transaction. Here we call it as a document. So this word called document is used very frequently in sales and distribution, materials management, FI, everywhere we create some. You can see this pre-sales, sales means order. Then we have the shipping process where delivery, transportation order, goods issue. This dotted lines is nothing but a remote activity, what is talking about. That means it will happen virtually. So when I'm doing a goods issue, a material stock account is automatically reduced, isn't it? Because I've issued some stock. So as the goods issue is happening, this material management is nothing but warehouse where the stock is placed. So there are some T codes, there are some screens, they are built into SAP. As a functional consultant, now you have to understand, as part of our training, you will be understanding the integration between. Why the integration? Because if your order is placed for 125 televisions in one order, like that 10 orders are there, 1250 televisions. That means this particular warehouse should have around 1500 televisions on stock. Otherwise, excuse me, otherwise the sales order cannot be authenticated. That means system will automatically say that, sorry, the stock is not available. Then what? The user's next question is, by what time you can get me the stock? Can you tell me? So what happens? Internally, this MM module will talk to internally, because that is how the SAP system is already, from day one he has designed that SAP SD or SAP ECC. They have self-integrated with the tables, with the interfaces, with the programs. So you don't need to worry about, oh, how do I need to You don't need to do it from the default basis because SAP is already authorized 2 lakh plus tables. It's already authorized more than 1000 BAPEs, more than 500 IDOCs. Still can be customized. I'm talking about standardized. So every standard feature, he doesn't want you to add new components, but he has given free hand to add new tables, new interfaces, new reports, so new scripts. Excuse me, new scripts. Scripts means smart forms. That means to print your uh, material forms, your contract forms, to print your order forms, to print your inquiries, print your quotations. For everything, he has given a fantastic collective mechanism called sales information system. Suppose most of you guys would have heard about MIS, Management Information System. The same thing, when it comes to sales, it becomes sales info. When it comes to finance, it becomes financial info system. That means every transaction we are doing here, it is collectively put as an info system report. An info system report. And you can see this red mark. It is financial accounting. Why it is flatly shown as a horizontal process? Because every module has to and every report has to talk to FI. That means it is a parallel process. Every transaction you do, you take an inquiry from a customer, so he is asking you certain discount, he is looking for certain number of televisions or number of cars or number of products or number of boxes. That has to be tracked by this financial guy because there will be a control. That means it will have approximate profits it will be calculating. So those numbers are important for financial guys. Whatever is happening, suppose your inquiries are coming for uh, total 1000 products for that week. Your quotations you have sent for all 1000 products and your order is placed for only 250. That means your strike rate is, your conversion rate is 25%, isn't it? So this account, this because this company has a track record of 50+%. That means you are behind the target by 50%. So the report here in the account receivable will say that actual inquiry size was this much. What was the problem? So the top management will get that report, who are sitting maybe in Singapore or London or New York or Delhi, wherever they are. This management will get that report. So for that easy management of the business, this ERP is actually used. Being sales and distribution consultants, your job is not to just understand what is SD, what is an IDOC in SD, what is an BAPI in SD, but you have to get a larger perspective of your of the client. So when we go into implementations, we generally go into very in-depth business processes. So let me show you one of the business process flow. Just a minute. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you guys see these screens? Some PowerPoint which I'm showing.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, okay, okay, it's fine.
Yes.
So when we start any implementation, like, can you guys mute at your end? So I'm having a resound. Yeah, thanks. So when you go to this organization structure, when you go to this process flow charts, master data, gaps and issues, you have to understand how the business process has to be really integrated to them. You can see this. So the sales headquarters, your people who are using the end users, and your sales offices, and your how the steel company is operating from, and you can see this. This would be the organization structure of the company. They will give us this structure saying that okay, there are different channels like dealer, builders, and direct, and these people are working with various divisions called solutions, systems, components, accessories, services, midstream, and trading. So this business process is given or created by the creamy team in the implementation. So it is not by all of you. But once the structure is shown to you, you should have your conceptual understanding, not only just SAP creation. So it's not just in the SAP creation. You also have to understand what is the structure is all about. So there will be some business process flows. So if you are thinking that it is simply only the SAP practice is enough to get an SAP job, you are absolutely wrong. You also have to understand how this project flows would be. You can see this. They have inquiries, quotations, orders, pricing, checks, delivery scheduling, and revenue account. So this is the flow of the typical sales mechanism. This is shipping. Monitoring the deadlines, checking the availability, creating the deliveries, picking, packing, shipping documents, goods issues, etc. So you can see this again in billing. What is going to happen? Third party, intercompany billing, debit memo, credit memo, pro forma. So in the interviews, they may definitely ask, can you explain me how did you handle pro forma invoice for your client? First of all, if you don't know the concept of the pro forma invoice, though you know how to create it, nobody is going to listen to you. There are a lot of guys, they know how to create a pro forma invoice, but they don't know what is the importance of pro forma invoice in the business. So business knowledge on each of these things which I would be interested in while training. So if you don't know about pro forma invoice, again when I'm going to explain you in the billing process, you have to be, there is something called in pro forma, again we'll have split invoices, we have cumulative invoices. So you have to understand how this, what is this cumulative invoice, what is this split invoice, why you are going to split, how you are going to split. Can I split for multiple customers at a single go? Can I split the same order or different orders? Suppose if a customer is ordering 3 different sales orders, can I combine them or split them? So why this requirement comes and how you are going to handle. So this is what they will be interested in your, this is the sales information system. Right now the picture which I was showing, suppose if you go into an implementation, so these are the business scenarios which they are interested in. Sales order processing for retail products. Excuse me. Sales processing for projects. There is a module called project systems. After sales orders, still billing, he says that there is a module called PS which is going to work in this system. So now you have to have a clean meaning or clear understanding about what is this project system, what breakdown structure. There are a lot of other topics, but you should have a minute idea. Then you don't need to learn the entire module of PS, but at least if they ask you how the projects are integrated, you should have the basic answer with you. So with third party items, with consignment. So conceptually, if you know the difference between a third party and a consignment, then you can explain the SAP flow. Otherwise you cannot. Stock transport order, export sales. So these multiple scenarios, like we would be, the means when we go to an implementation, they would be uh, expecting from us to how this is going to happen, and where this sales and distribution module or general cycles, how it happens. You can see inquiry, quotation, contract. Yeah. And the diagram which I have just now shown, it is almost similar. So that means I've shown you in your PDF file this diagram and this diagram are almost all similar. So how it is going to happen over here, and they will give us certain process flow. So this we have to implement in our real-time system. So then only, that means development, quality, production. There are three systems like which we would be working on. Those are called instances: development instance, quality instance, and also the production instance. Yes. Simultaneously, you also have to have a very clear understanding about what is client. In SAP, client is nothing but independent set of tables with its own master data. That's the definition of client. Client means whenever many of the people, when I ask this definition of client, they are always giving me a wrong answer, saying that client is my client who is going to work with us or something. You can see this client 300, 400, 600, 800. So we will be using 800 in our trainings most of the time. So you have to understand client is nothing but independent set of tables with its own master data. If you don't know that meaning, though you know the entire application linking, enabling, integration, whatever it is, your understanding will go wrong. That means fundamentals in SAP are the key drivers to learn. So that's why the course I generally say, first you have to drive your concepts well, then you have to drive your analysis. Third one is practice. Don't blindly go ahead and yesterday somebody has come for the interview. I have asked him about something called condition class and condition category in pricing. He's simply giving me the transaction code. I said it is not the T code. Explain me what is the difference between both. He said giving me the T code and saying there we find a condition class. I know that. Where do we find a condition class? If you go to SAP Architecture basic functions, then pricing, then define condition type, you'll find it. But what is the importance of condition category and condition class? I just want him, if he can explain me conceptually, I am sure that he will do it practically. Because the IMG paths already we give them. When we go to implementation, entire steps are given. Excuse me. Entire steps. Step 1, step 2, step 5 is given to you. People will fail because they don't have the business flow idea. People will fail because they don't have the process knowledge. So do remember that without having process and conceptual knowledge, you will fail. That's the reason I don't want to again take you into very complex flow charts. Okay, so if it is free of charge, that means there is one small sales order for free. Then it says that when you create a sales order, deliver the invoice. This invoice has zero value as order, as it is free of charge. It says that when you create an invoice, it should not deduct any amount from the debit any amount from the customer's account. So this is a small example of free of charge. So these are the kind of flow charts we generally see. This is one of the implementation, one of my past implementations which I'm trying to share. Okay, so that is a picture of the business process. Why I'm showing you all those pictures is, don't learn this module in academic manner. You involve yourself. Don't just say, many people will, they come to me, sir, I want to know the customization of pricing. Oh, really? You want to know the customization? That's fine. But before knowing the customizations, how strong you are reading the documents and how conceptually you are prepared for knowing this particular product. In fact, these guys who come to us, they don't even know where this pricing, in which official SAP document you will find the pricing concepts. So in pricing, they're very tricky thing, because pricing is in pricing will affect PP, pricing will affect SD. So when the flow chart comes into picture, the pricing related to quotation is different, the pricing related to contract is different, the pricing related to agreement is different. There is something called sales area in our enterprise structure, so we would be uh, looking into. So we will go into that. But yeah, generally, any SAP functional consultant should be aware that we have three areas of our work: master data, number one; number two, transaction data; number three, control data. Control data is nothing but what we customize. If I change one small setting, it will affect thousands of uh, regions, thousands of distributors, thousands of customers. Lot of people will affect. That's called control data. Something called pricing customization is control data. Date customization is control data. Currency setup is a control data. Calendar setting is a control data. That means if I set that calendar as MMDDYYY, so it will show millions of customers MMDDYY. It will not allow them to enter in the DDMMYYY format. Or I can do one thing. Though the customer enters in any format, system will convert them into MMDDYY or YYY. It's your wish. So that means that's called control. Control data is nothing but all the things what we do in this IMG. IMG stands for implementation guide. IMG stands for IMG, implementation guide, and it is similar to, and it has SD's closest cousin is CRM, customer relationship management. So when you get into any of these SAP's module like SAP SD, suppose if you go into SAP MM has a clearest cousin saying that there is a module called SRM, Supply Relationship Management. So this integrates into with MM a lot. But with SD, you have external boxes I'm talking about. BI, CRM, IS oil and gas, IS utilities, IS healthcare. Because without a sales related activity, no business runs. You name it utilities, you name power, you name banking. Every sector requires sales and distribution. Banking may not require much about logistics execution. Part of MM is required, but SD is very core for them, because account payables, account receivables, and there, when you implement these ERPs, remember that you implement it for tangible products and intangible services. Tangible means which has color, which has weight, which has variations. Intangible means service sector like banking, airlines. So these guys will only, but in the aeronautics again, the manufacturing sector is purely again supply chain process. But when they're manufacturing the aircraft, but when they are selling the airline tickets in the international business selling, then it becomes sales and distribution, because distribution points would be across airports, across agents and all this kind of stuff. So retail agents will be there, direct agents will be there. So there are a lot of things which you would be understanding in the flow when you go to, that's called control data. This is the main understanding of the control data. And the next part, other than control data, so you have something called as this big one, master data. So I will start tomorrow's, that means on Monday's session, I would be starting on how to create the master data. So let me show you the master data. What is this master data is all about. So what is the definition of master data? So master data is something called long-term used data. It is a long-term used data. Means a product information, once it is manufactured till it dies, it will not change its basic shape of it. It will not change its the manufacturing procedure, the material, maybe mild steel, brass, aluminum, whatever you are using. So, so do remember this point very interestingly: control data, master data. The third is called transaction data. So let me. I'm trying to show you this master data. Yeah. So if you can see here, these are the master data. So, and do remember, many people when we discuss about master data, they only think products, the middle master, and business partner. Only these two are master data. But conditions, which related to price, this is also called master data. Output, which is related to printing. Agreements, which is related to standard agreements for the client. And information system. This is what we call it as sales information system. So when I go to BP, I can have a sales summary here. So Dinesh, I'm in a class, like I'll call you back. So you can see this. So it will have certain reports like this, like valid from, valid to. These are our standard reports. These are called LIS, logistics information system related reports. So where you can filter the field list. So these all are ALV, ABAP list viewer, or SLV, SAP list viewer. So they have given multiple options. Suppose if I click on the sales deal, it will go to that particular sales deal document. And here I can say, I can make it ascending, descending. Right now it is ascending. It is going from small to the big number. So I can reverse it. So there are certain settings he has made. So he has right now taken it to the sales deal. The transaction code is VB23. So that means the reporting. So you should have an idea about all these things before you do your practice. That means, that's what I say. First, I want my students to be very good in the fundamentals like architecture, like the flow chart, like the business process. Then do the analysis of these IDS. IDS is nothing but International Demonstration and Evaluation System. There are millions of records he has already given to us. Suppose if I go to a BP, I go to a customer, I go to a display customer. So there are this many number of customers given by SAP. So you can always display any of these customer if you want and check what is up to. Suppose if you take this Milano based customer. So he is having certain control data, payment transaction, marketing, export. But why it is giving me only this limited information? So I have to again go back 2400, right? And I have to give customers sales area. This is called analysis. What I'm doing, I'm giving him one sales area. Then company code. I'll give.
One question.
Yeah.
One question.
Let me finish this, then you can ask.
Okay. Sorry.
It's not been created. You can see this. This 1000, it says the 2400 customer has not been created for company code 1000. That means there is a relationship between this sales area and this company code. I'll try to remove this. Now you can see there is a new code called sales area data has come into picture. So earlier it was missing. Why it is missing? Back, I did not give the sales area. So if I don't give the sales area, it will not show me the sales area data. So this is called analysis of the standard system first of all before you create. You can see there is no sales area data. Back. Is not associated to any company code. Okay. So if I click on F4, it is showing me the combination of your customers with the company code. So if I see the list, it says that there is no financial process for this particular customer because he is not converted till now. After 2300 it is 2500. So normally it would be, if it is a customer sales area, it is he's talking about 1000, he would have given 1000. Yeah, go ahead, Amit. Hello?
I had one question on the control data.
Yeah,
You
tell
just
me.
showed there was a control data for a customer, right? So control data is for the whole client, for across the customers of a client, or it's specific to a customer or a vendor for a whatever
It is
client.
one control data is for one client. That means if suppose, but yes,
One client.
control data is again of two types, cross client and independent client.
Okay.
But majority will be cross client. Suppose if I change the calendar settings for one particular common time zone, because if GMT if I'm going to change, obviously it is going to affect all the dependent time zones, isn't it? It's plus and minus, right? So that's how the control data will be. Control data will be most of the times it will be centric. Right.
So it's not specific to a customer of a client, it's across the clients.
Cross client. That's the reason when see when 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 we are changing the control data, when you click on save, it will say that this is going to affect the cross client. Are you sure you want to change it? That SAP system will also give you that particular information before you do the change. Got my point? So cross client changes are very, very effective. Suppose you are changing a plant, it is a cross client. Plant is not a property of 100 or 200 or 300 client.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So till now about the control data and master data, any of you have questions? Arun?
No.
So Anis, are you there? Reshmi?
No, I'm good.
So there are, and the third most important thing we are talking about transactions. That means the activity between two parties is called a transaction. It may be signing a contract between the product, the manufacturer and the vendor and the retailer, vendor and the wholesaler. It can be wholesaler and the reseller. So there are a lot of agreements and contracts or orders, inquiries, quotation. There will be to and fro document. That's why we call them as transactions in SD are called as documents. Those are called documents. So you have a sales activity, a shipping and a billing. Everywhere you would be having a lot of transactions. And transaction cannot be created without a master data. And master and transaction cannot work without control data. Do remember that. Because creating a genuine master data is not possible without having a control data integration in the backend. So when you are creating a transaction data, do remember that you are going to create a sales order, going to create a delivery, going to create a transportation order, a billing document. These all are dependent on the master data and control data settings. If suppose control data is nothing but creating a sales area. You did not create a sales area for the Middle East region and there is a customer coming from somewhere in Muscat, Oman. So immediately when you are going to create order, it is not showing you any sales areas related to Muscat. That means your control data is missing. Your users will not be able to create an order with that particular region. So that means failing of control data will fail the transaction data and master data. The customer is trying to register with your company, but it is not showing any sales area with Oman distribution channel or Oman sales organization. So because it is not controlled, you did not enter that value at all. So that means failing of your control data creation will automatically fail the master data. In turn, you will not be able to create exact transaction data. That means document. So that means when a customer asks me a quotation, it is a legal document. It is a legal document against his customer ID, against his insurance ID, against his tax transaction ID. I will be giving him a quotation. That quotation is not valid to any second customer. That quotation serial number, that quotation's sequence number will exactly match to that client only. That's why we use this term called document. And its validity is only for 15 days from the date of creation. And it will have certain rules and regulations before you accept the purchase order or before the customer sends the purchase order. He has to read the quotations rules perfectly. Once he reads the quotations rules, then he can get into he'll send a PO. Based on the PO, we create a sales order. Based on the sales order, we create a delivery. And based on the delivery, we have the goods issue simultaneously going on, and transport order, shipment process if required. Then based on delivery, we'll have a billing document. So you have to understand that there is a sequence of these 4 stages, and you would be the entire SD module. Obviously, instead of talking about topics, talk about business process. So pre-sales, sales, shipping and billing together will make your SD module. And and you talk any topic like pricing, output determination, account determination, any determination which we are talking, everything is for these 4 stages only. You are going to customize. So that's why, to summarize, control data, master data and transaction data, these 3 things will match with each other. So do remember that. Okay. So control, then master, third is transaction. Yeah. So I'm done with the introductory session today, and tomorrow onwards we'll go into that the system part, the T codes and how to get into the analysis, which I've tried to show a small light on it. So tomorrow I'll go into detail. But every topic, do remember that conceptual, then analytical, third will be practical. 3 ways I want you to understand any topic given in this module. So you have any questions for today's session, Reshmi, Arun, Amit, anybody?
Nothing at the minute, Ravi, no.
Oh, okay. That's good. So how about you, Amit?
I'm fine, Ravi.
Ravi, can you send the maker documents on SD?
I'll do that. I'll be sending you through an email, or on my Dropbox I'll give you a link. So how about you, Reshmi? Like, how is your? Yeah, tell me, Reshmi.
Yeah. So I mean, just in case we want to go back and just see the session again, I see that you're recording it. Will we have access to that?
Yeah, I'll be giving you the access once I upload this.
All right.
Because anyway, my no 2 classes would be same, but maybe on the same lines because I cover up, because in the last week's SD session I did not take the example of any client, but today I did. So sometimes definitely, yeah, you can relate to the topic once again and review it. So I'll give you access to my private channel in my YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah, Amit. Coming to your other questions on the integration part, and
Right.
when it is integration, when I was talking about this SD module and MM and PP module, so I was trying to deal with the integration from the enterprise structure onwards. It is not just only the, if you think that only this ALE part, if you can see, that's called application linking and enabling. Can you mute yourself? Amit? Amit, are you there?
Yeah.
So this is the ALE part, like which you're talking about. You can see the integration with the third party system is called ALE. That means other boxes like
Okay.
your CRM, your BI.
Right.
You can see this. So yeah, this part like we would be discussing on how to send the information, how to get it, the material information. So this part I can show you. That's not an issue. So that is only for the external box, okay, not for the internal. Do remember that. Within the box, we don't require any cross application. It is the external application which is going to. But yeah, we are not going to deal with ALE development. To remember that. But we will go into how to test a BAPI, how to
Not with the right.
test an IDOC, the inbound process, outbound process. That we can see. Okay.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. That is obviously. It's an easy task, like where, but yeah, within the limitations of the functional consultant, we have to understand that. See, in order to, because that will really make you comfortable to tomorrow take part in implementation and talk to the web consultant. Right?
Right.
So let us catch up on tomorrow Sunday. We don't have a session. Monday morning, same time.
Okay.
Right? Right then, catch you back. See you all.
Sure. Okay.
Good night and have a nice day for people in India. Right, see you.
Bye bye.